Captain Jake Morrison stared at the endless black space through the bridge window of the USS Liberty. Stars twinkled like tiny diamonds scattered across dark velvet. He had been exploring space for 20 years, but the sight still amazed him. Today felt different, though. Something was wrong. "Captain, I'm picking up strange readings on the scanner," said Ensign Billy Park from his communications station. The young man's fingers moved quickly across the glowing buttons and screens. "There's something big out there, but it's not showing up clearly." Jake walked over to Billy's station and looked at the green lines dancing across the black screen. The patterns made no sense. Ships usually showed up as clear dots, but this looked like static, mixed with lightning. "Lieutenant Commander Hayes, come take a look at this," Jake called to his chief engineer. Lisa Hayes was a small woman with sharp green eyes and grease-stained hands. She could fix anything that broke on the ship, and often improved it while she was at it. Lisa hurried over from the engine control panel, studied Billy's screen for a few seconds, then frowned. "That's not natural, Captain. Whatever's out there is using technology I've never seen before." Dr. Kevin Stone looked up. From his science station, the tall, thin man adjusted his glasses and spoke in his usual calm voice. "The energy patterns suggest a vessel at least 10 times larger than our ship. The readings are off the scale for any known propulsion system." Jake felt his stomach tighten. The Liberty was a good ship, but she was built for exploration, not fighting. They had basic weapons and shields, nothing more. If something hostile was out there, they were in trouble. "Sergeant Chen, get your Marines ready," Jake ordered. Amy Chen was the toughest person on the ship. The short, muscular woman could fight, with her fists, guns, or explosives. Her squad trusted her completely. "Already on it, Captain," Amy replied. She spoke into her radio, calling her team to battle stations. Suddenly, the space in front of them began to ripple like water. The stars bent and twisted in impossible ways. Then, with a flash of purple light, a massive ship appeared. It was dark gray and covered in sharp angles. Strange symbols glowed along its hull in colors that hurt to look at. "Holy Mother of ... double quotes," Billy started to say, then caught himself. The alien ship was enormous. The Liberty could have fit inside it 50 times over. Smaller ships flew around it like angry wasps around their nest. "All stop," Jake commanded. "Raise shields and power up weapons. Billy, try to make contact." The lights on the bridge dimmed as power flowed to the ship's defenses. Jake could hear the hum of the shield generators starting up. It was a comforting sound. But he knew their shields wouldn't last long against something that big. Billy's fingers danced over his controls. "I'm sending standard first contact messages on all frequencies." "Captain, no response yet?" The alien ship moved closer. Jake could see details on its hull now. Weapons ports lined its sides like the eyes of a spider. Energy crackled between strange towers that jutted from its surface. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission," Billy said. His face had gone pale. "It's coming through on every channel at once. They're speaking English." "Put it on speakers," Jake ordered. A voice filled the bridge. It sounded like metal scraping against stone, cold and emotionless. "Human vessel, you have entered space belonging to the Zephyrian Collective. Your species is a contamination that must be cleansed. You will surrender for processing or be destroyed." Jake stepped forward and spoke clearly. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Liberty. We are explorers, not invaders. We mean no harm to you or your people." The alien voice laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Harm? You breathe our air? You drink our water? You exist in our galaxy. That is harm enough. You have 60 seconds to surrender." Lisa grabbed Jake's arm. "Captain, their weapons are charging. Energy readings are going through the roof." Jake looked around the bridge at his crew. Billy was sweating as he tried to boost their communications signal. Lisa was already calculating engine output. Dr. Stone was studying the alien ship with scientific curiosity, even in the face of death. Amy was checking her weapon, ready to fight even against impossible odds. These were good people. They didn't deserve to die because some aliens thought humans were dirty. "All hands, this is the captain," Jake announced over the ship's speakers. "Prepare for combat. We may be outgunned, but we're not giving up without a fight." The alien ship fired first. A beam of blue energy struck the Liberty's shields. The ship shook violently, throwing everyone against their stations. Sparks flew from damaged panels. The lights flickered. "Shields down to 30%, Lisa shouted over the noise of alarms. "Another hit like that, and we're done for." Jake gripped his command chair as another blast hit them. This time the bridge went dark for a few seconds before emergency power kicked in. Red lights bathed everything in an eerie glow. "Auto-return fire," Jake ordered. Their weapons shot back. But the beams seemed to bounce off the alien ship like raindrops off a windshield. The massive vessel didn't even slow down. A third blast struck them, and this time Jake knew they were finished. The main power died completely. Life support systems went quiet. Even the emergency lights went out, leaving them in total darkness. Electromagnetic pulse. Lisa's voice came through the blackness. "They fried every system on the ship. We're dead in the water." Jake activated his emergency flashlight. In the weak beam, he could see his crew looking at him with fear and determination mixed. Together they were scared, but they weren't broken. "Billy, how long do we have on emergency life support?" Jake asked. Billy checked a small handheld device. "Maybe 72 hours, if we're lucky, Captain." The alien voice came through their personal communicators, somehow still working despite the pulse. "You see how easily we can end you? Surrender now, and your death will be quick. Refuse, and you will slowly suffocate in the dark." Jake stood up straight, even though no one could see him clearly. "Lisa, is there anything on this ship that still works? Anything at all?" Lisa was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke in a whisper. "Captain, there might be something. The experimental equipment in Storage Bay 7. It's completely isolated from the main systems." "What kind of experimental equipment?" Dr. Stone asked. Lisa's voice grew stronger. "Project Prometheus. Quantum manipulation technology. It was supposed to be tested at the space station, but..." She paused. "But maybe we can use it to fix the ship." Jake felt a spark of hope. "Can you make it work?" "I don't know, Captain. The technology is completely untested. It could save us or it could tear the ship apart." Jake thought about the alien ship waiting outside. He thought about his crew, good people who deserved better than dying in the dark. He thought about Earth, and how these aliens wanted to wipe out humanity. "Lisa," he said firmly, "humans don't go quietly into the night. Let's see what we can do with this Prometheus technology." In the darkness of the disabled ship, surrounded by enemies who wanted them dead, the crew of the Liberty began to plan something that would change everything. Lisa Hayes crawled through the dark corridors of the Liberty using only her flashlight to see. The ship felt dead around her. No humming engines, no air circulation, no lights, just cold metal and the sound of her own breathing. Behind her, Dr. Stone and Billy Park followed with their own lights dancing on the walls. "Storage Bay 7 should be just ahead," Lisa whispered. She didn't know why she was whispering. The aliens outside probably couldn't hear them anyway. They reached a heavy door marked with warning signs in bright yellow letters. Lisa punched in the access code she had memorized months ago. The door opened with a soft hiss, using its own battery power. Inside the storage bay, strange equipment filled most of the space. Metal boxes connected by thick cables, computer screens that were dark and silent. In the center sat something that looked like a giant metal sphere covered in spinning rings. "Is that it?" Billy asked, shining his light on the sphere. "That's the quantum manipulator," Lisa said. "It can break down matter at the smallest level and rebuild it into anything we want. At least that's what the theory says." Dr. Stone moved closer to examine the device. The documentation said this technology was too dangerous for field testing. The energy requirements alone could overload any ship's power system. Lisa smiled in the darkness. "Good thing our power system is already dead. We've got nothing left to overload." They spent the next hour connecting portable power cells to the quantum equipment. Lisa's hands worked quickly, even in the dim light. She had studied the blueprints for months, dreaming of the day she could work with such advanced technology. She just never thought it would be under these conditions. "Lisa, I've got the communication array working, Billy called from across the bay. He had managed to connect his portable radio to one of the quantum devices. I can boost our signal. Using quantum entanglement, we might be able to reach Earth. Good work, Billy. But first we need to see if this thing actually works. Lisa finished the last connection and stepped back. Dr. Stone, are you ready to make history? Stone adjusted his glasses nervously. The theoretical risks are enormous. Could create a dimensional rift, or worse, a cascade reaction that destroys local spacetime. Doc, we're going to be dead in 3 days anyway, Lisa said. I'd rather go out trying something impossible than just waiting to suffocate. She activated the quantum manipulator. The metal sphere began to glow with a soft blue light, and the rings around it started spinning faster and faster. Energy crackled between the spinning parts like tiny lightning bolts. It's working, Stone said. Checking his instruments, quantum field is stable. Energy output is within acceptable parameters. Lisa felt her heart racing with excitement. Okay, let's start small. Billy, hand me that broken tablet computer. Billy gave her a tablet that had been fried by the electromagnetic pulse. The screen was cracked and black. Lisa placed it in a small chamber connected to the quantum manipulator. Here goes nothing, she said, and pressed a button. The tablet disappeared in a flash of blue light. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the light faded and the tablet reappeared. But now, it looked brand new. The screen was perfect and glowing with power. Holy cow, Billy breathed. It actually worked. The quantum field analyzed the device's original structure and rebuilt it from the atomic level up, Stone explained. It's like having a blueprint for everything that ever existed. Lisa was already planning their next step. We need to get to the engine room. If we can quantum rebuild the main power core, we can restore life support in basic systems. They made their way through the dark ship, carrying the portable quantum device. Other crew members joined them along the way. Sergeant Amy Chen brought her Marines to help carry equipment. Captain Morrison arrived with more power cells and tools. How dangerous is this, Lisa? Morrison asked as they set up the quantum manipulator. In the engine room. On a scale of 1 to 10, Captain? About a 15, Lisa admitted. Staying here and doing nothing is a 20. The ship's main power core was a massive cylinder filled with fusion reactors and energy storage cells. The electromagnetic pulse had turned it into expensive scrap metal, but Lisa believed the quantum manipulator could fix it. Everyone except essential personnel clear the engine room, Morrison ordered. If this goes wrong, I don't want to lose. The whole crew. Only Lisa, Stone, Billy, and the captain remained. Lisa carefully aimed the quantum field at the power core and began the rebuilding process. This time, the blue light was much brighter. The entire engine room filled with crackling energy. The power core shimmered and changed before their eyes. Burnt circuits became shiny and new. Melted metal reformed into perfect shapes. After 10 minutes, the reconstruction was complete. Initiating startup sequence, Lisa announced. She pressed the power button, holding her breath. The power core hummed to life. Lights flickered on throughout the engine room. Air circulation systems started running. The ship felt alive again. We did it, Billy shouted, pumping his fist in the air. But their celebration was cut short by an alarm. Captain Morrison's radio crackled to life with Amy Chen's voice. Captain, you need to get to the bridge right now. The aliens are moving. They're sending smaller ships toward us. Morrison grabbed his radio. On our way. Lisa, can you restore? Weapons and shields? Give me 20 more minutes, Captain. I can quantumly build our defensive systems, but I want to try something else first. Lisa's eyes gleamed with a dangerous idea. What do you mean, something else? Stone asked. Lisa smiled. The quantum manipulator didn't just fix our power core. It improved it. The energy output is 30% higher than original specifications. And if I'm right about quantum enhancement principles, we can do the same thing to every system on the ship. You want to upgrade the entire ship? Morrison asked. Better than that, Captain. I want to make our ship stronger than it was ever designed. To be, those aliens think they're dealing with primitive humans using basic technology. Lisa's smile grew wider. Let's show them what happens when humans get creative. Outside the ship, Zephyrian attack vessels approached the Liberty. Her pilots expected to find a dead human ship full of suffocating crew members. Instead, their sensors detected energy readings that made no sense. The human ship was not just alive again. It was generating power levels that should have been impossible inside the Liberty. Lisa Hayes worked frantically to quantum enhance every system she could reach. She had 71 hours and 53 minutes of air left. But if her calculations were correct, they wouldn't need to worry about air much longer. They were about to become something the galaxy had never seen before. Lisa Hayes stared at the quantum readings on her screen and felt her hands shake with excitement. The numbers were impossible, but they were real. The ship's power core wasn't just repaired anymore. It was producing energy levels that broke every rule she had learned in engineering school. "Captain Morrison, you need to see this," she called across the engine room. Jake hurried over to look at her display. "What am I looking at, Lisa?" he asked. "Our power output just increased by 300% in the last 10 minutes, Lisa explained. "The quantum field isn't just fixing our systems, it's connecting them. It's making them work together in ways they were never designed for." Dr. Stone joined them, his face pale with wonder and fear. "Lisa, I'm detecting quantum entanglement patterns throughout the ship's structure. The hull, the engines, the computer systems, they're all becoming linked at the subatomic level." Billy Park's voice crackled over the radio from the bridge. "Captain, the alien ships are getting closer. 20 minutes until they reach us. But sir, our sensors are picking up something weird. It's like the ship is alive." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean alive?" "The hull is changing, Captain. It's getting thicker and stronger, and the metal is moving. It's actually moving like it's growing." Lisa checked her quantum manipulator controls. Everything looked normal, but the energy readings kept climbing. "Captain, I think the quantum field is doing more than we planned. It's not just enhancing our systems, it's making them evolve." Sergeant Amy Chen's voice came through the radio, tense and urgent. "Captain, my Marines are reporting strange things all over the ship. Walls that feel warm to the touch. Lights that turn on before we flip the switches. Equipment that seems to know what we need before we ask for it." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Lisa, can you control this quantum enhancement process?" "I'm not sure, Captain. The technology is beyond anything humans have ever built. But I think I can guide it, direct it toward what we need most. Then do it. Make this ship capable of fighting those aliens and winning." Lisa took a deep breath and placed her hands on the quantum manipulator controls. She closed her eyes and tried to picture what the Liberty needed to become. Stronger armor, better weapons, faster engines. As she thought about each improvement, the quantum field responded. The ship shuddered around them. Not from damage this time, but from growth. The hull was becoming something new. Metal fibers spread through the walls like veins. Computer circuits grew into the structure itself. The boundary between machine and living thing began to disappear. "Lisa, the weapons systems are changing," Billy reported from the bridge. "Our laser cannons are being replaced by something else, something the computer doesn't recognize." Dr. Stone monitored the quantum field with growing amazement. "The weapons are becoming probability manipulators. Instead of firing energy beams, they'll fire controlled quantum states. They can make things exist or not exist." "What does that mean in simple terms, Doc?" Jake asked. "It means we can shoot at an enemy ship and make it never have been there." In the first place, the transformation continued. The ship's engines were rebuilding themselves into something that could bend space and time. The shields were becoming reality anchors that could reject the laws of physics, if those laws were inconvenient. But the most important change was happening to the crew themselves. As the quantum field spread through the ship, it began to connect. With their minds, Lisa felt it first. Suddenly, she could sense every system on the Liberty. She knew exactly how much power the engines were producing. She could feel the strength of the hull. The ship was becoming an extension of her body. "Captain," she said softly, "I can feel the whole ship. Every wire, every bolt, every quantum particle. It's like the Liberty is part of me now." It too, when he thought about turning left, the ship's navigation system responded. When he worried about the enemy ships approaching, the weapons automatically began targeting them. The Liberty was reading his mind. "This is incredible," Billy said over the radio. "Just thought about contacting Earth, and the communication system started broadcasting automatically. The signal is being boosted by quantum entanglement. They'll receive our message instantly, no matter how far away they are." Amy Chen's voice was filled with wonder. "Captain, my weapons are changing too. My rifle just grew new parts. The bullets look like they're made of liquid light. The alien attack. Ships were only 5 minutes away now. Their pilots could see the human vessel clearly, but their sensors gave impossible readings. The ship's mass was fluctuating. Its energy signature was off the charts. Worst of all, it seemed to be looking back at them." On the Liberty's bridge, Captain Morrison sat in his command chair and felt the ship respond to his thoughts. When he wanted to see the enemy vessels, the main screen showed them instantly. When he wondered about their weapons, detailed analysis appeared on his display. "Lisa, are we ready for this fight?" he asked. Lisa's voice came through the ship's communication system, but it sounded different now. Stronger, more confident. "Captain, we're not just ready. We're something those aliens have never seen before. A ship that thinks, weapons that choose their own targets, armor that gets stronger when it's attacked." The first alien ship fired at them. A beam of deadly energy that could have destroyed a city struck the Liberty's hull, instead of exploding. The ship absorbed the energy and used it to grow even stronger. The quantum-enhanced armor learned from the attack and became immune to that type of weapon. "Return fire," Jake commanded. The Liberty's new quantum weapons fired back, but instead of energy beams, they shot controlled probability waves. The alien ship didn't explode, simply stopped existing in that location. One moment it was there, the next moment it had never been there at all. The other alien pilots stared in shock at the empty space, where their companion had been. Their instruments showed no debris, no explosion, no trace that a ship had ever existed there. "It's impossible," one of them whispered into his radio. On the Liberty, Dr. Stone was studying the weapon's effects with scientific fascination. "We didn't destroy that ship, Captain. We edited it out of reality. As far as the universe is concerned, it was never built." Jake felt the power flowing through the ship and through himself. The Liberty was no longer just a machine he commanded. It was part of him, and he was part of it. Together, they were becoming something that could rewrite the rules of existence itself. The remaining alien ships hesitated, unsure of what they were facing. In that moment of uncertainty, Jake realized that humanity had just taken its first step toward becoming something far greater than anyone had ever imagined. The real battle was about to begin. The remaining alien ships spread out in attack formation around the Liberty. Captain Jake Morrison could feel their fear through the ship's quantum sensors. The aliens had never seen anything like what the humans had become. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship," Billy Park reported. His voice carried easily through the ship's new communication system that connected all their minds. "Put it through," Jake commanded, and immediately the alien commander's voice filled the bridge. "What have you done to yourselves?" the Zephyrian leader demanded. His voice no longer sounded cold and confident. Now it shook with something Jake had never heard from an alien before: fear. "We upgraded," Jake replied simply. "You wanted to destroy us, so we became something you can't destroy." Through the ship's enhanced sensors, Jake could see inside the alien flagship. The Zephyrian commander was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His large black eyes stared at screens showing impossible readings from the human ship. "Your vessel violates the natural laws of this universe," the alien said. "Such technology should not exist," Lisa Hayes spoke from the engineering section, her voice reaching Jake through their quantum connection. "Captain, their flagship is charging some kind of reality anchor weapon. It's designed to lock space-time in place and prevent quantum manipulation." Dr. Stone's thoughts joined the conversation. "If they succeed in deploying that weapon, it could trap us in normal physics. We'd lose all our advantages." Jake felt the Liberty respond to his concern. The ship's quantum field expanded, reaching out to analyze the enemy weapon. Information flowed directly into his mind. The reality anchor worked by creating a bubble of fixed physical laws that couldn't be changed. "Amy, can your Marines handle a boarding action?" Jake asked. Chen's response came with a feeling of fierce determination. My team is ready, Captain. Our quantum-enhanced equipment can phase through their hull. We'll be inside their ship before they know we're coming. Do it, Jake ordered. Amy and her 5 Marines gathered in the shuttle bay, but they didn't need a shuttle anymore. The Liberty's quantum field surrounded them like a protective bubble. They simply walked through the hull of their own ship and stepped into space. The aliens fired everything they had at the Marines, but the energy beams passed right through them. Amy's team existed in a different quantum state now. They were there, but also not there. Physical weapons couldn't touch them. Inside the alien flagship, panic spread through the crew. Their sensors showed human life signs appearing throughout their ship, but they couldn't see or touch the intruders. Amy's Marines moved like ghosts through the corridors, heading for the bridge. Meanwhile, the Liberty engaged the remaining attack ships. The alien vessels fired reality anchor missiles, trying to trap the human ship in normal physics. But the Liberty's quantum field had grown too strong. Instead of being locked down, the missiles were converted into pure energy and absorbed. Oh, there. Weapons are making us stronger, Lisa reported with amazement. Every attack they make gives us more power to work with. Jake felt the ship's growing strength flowing through him. The Liberty was no longer just enhanced human technology. It had become something entirely new, a living machine that could think and adapt and evolve in real time. One of the alien ships tried to ram them, hoping that physical impact might work. Where energy weapons had failed, the ship struck the Liberty's hull at tremendous speed. But instead of damage, the collision created a new quantum pattern. The alien vessel was absorbed into the Liberty structure, its metal and technology, instantly converted to improve the human ship. We just ate their ship, Billy said with wonder. Actually ate it and made it part of us. On the alien flagship's bridge, Amy Chen and her Marines materialized like spirits, becoming solid. The Zephyrian crew reached for their weapons, but Amy's quantum-enhanced rifle fired first. The beam didn't kill the aliens. Instead, it put them into a peaceful sleep. We're in control of their bridge, Captain, Amy reported. Their reality anchor weapon is charging, but I can stop it. Negative, Sergeant, Jake replied. Let them fire it. Want to see what happens. This is Zephyrian commander, the last one awake on his bridge, stared at Amy in terror. You're not human anymore, he whispered. We're still human, Amy said calmly. We're just better humans now. The reality anchor weapon fired, sending out a wave of energy designed to freeze the laws of physics in place. The wave struck the Liberty and spread outward, creating a bubble of normal spacetime around both ships. For a moment, Jake felt the quantum connection weaken. The ship's enhanced systems flickered. Then something amazing happened. Instead of being trapped by the reality anchor, the Liberty began to change it. The quantum field pushed back against the fixed physics, bending them to human will. Impossible, Dr. Stone breathed. We're not just ignoring the reality anchor, we're rewriting it. The bubble of locked space-time began to shift and change. Instead of preventing quantum manipulation, it started amplifying it. The Liberty's power grew exponentially. Every system on the ship evolved beyond anything the crew had imagined possible. Jake could feel the change in himself, too. His thoughts were faster, clearer. He could see probability streams stretching into the future. Multiple possible outcomes of the battle played out in his mind simultaneously. In one future, they destroyed the entire Zephyrian fleet. In another, they converted the alien ships into more quantum-enhanced vessels. In a third, they simply made the whole battle never happened by editing it out of history. Captain Lisa's voice carried excitement and fear in equal measure. I'm detecting massive quantum distortions spreading out from our position. We're affecting spacetime for several light years in every direction, through the ship's sensors. Jake could see other alien vessels detecting the disturbance and coming to investigate. Word was spreading through the galaxy that something impossible was happening near. The edge of Zephyrian space, the Zephyrian commander on the flagship looked at Amy with new understanding. You've become gods, he said quietly. Amy shook her head. We've become human, real human. The kind of human that doesn't give up when someone tries to wipe us out. Jake felt the Liberty's quantum field reaching out across space, touching the minds of humans on distant Earth. In an instant, he could share everything they had learned. The quantum enhancement technology could spread to every human ship, every human colony, every human mind. "Billy, open a channel to Earth Command," Jake ordered. "Channel open, Captain." Jake's words would change the course of human history. "Earth Command. This is Captain Morrison of the Liberty. We've made contact with hostile aliens and we've found a way to fight back. Humanity is about to evolve. Are you ready?" The battle was far from over, but Jake knew they had already won something more important than a fight. They had proven that humans could become anything they needed to become to survive and thrive. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 months after the battle that changed everything, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Liberty, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. The blue planet looked the same as always, but Jake knew that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer the same species that had left Earth to explore the stars. "Captain, we're receiving hundreds of messages from Earth Command," Billy Park reported. "They want to know everything about the quantum enhancement process." Jake smiled. Billy's voice now carried information directly into his mind through their quantum connection. The young communications officer had become something like a living computer. It's able to process thousands of messages at the same time. "Tell them we'll share everything," Jake replied. "But first, we need to finish our mission." Behind them, a fleet of 50 ships followed the Liberty toward Earth. But these weren't ordinary ships anymore. They were Zephyrian vessels that had been converted using human quantum technology. The alien crews had volunteered to join humanity after seeing what they could become. Lisa Hayes materialized on the bridge, her body shifting from quantum energy back to normal matter. She could travel anywhere on the ship instantly now, existing as pure information when she needed to move quickly. "The conversion process is working perfectly, Captain," she reported. "All 50 ships are now quantum enhanced and under friendly control. Their crews are adapting to the neural link system faster than we expected." Dr. Stone looked up from his science station, where he was monitoring quantum fields across the entire solar system. "The enhancement wave we sent out 3 months ago has reached every human colony and ship within 100 light years. The entire human species is evolving together." Jake felt proud and worried at the same time. Giving every human in space access to quantum enhancement technology was the right thing to do, but it also meant humanity would never be the same again. They were becoming something new, something that could reshape reality with their thoughts. "Sir, we're getting a priority message from Admiral Parker at Earth Command," Billy announced. The Admiral's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but determined. "Captain Morrison, your quantum enhancement wave has triggered some unexpected effects here on Earth. We have reports of people developing telepathic abilities. Some can move objects with their minds. Others seem to be able to see the future." "That's normal, Admiral," Jake explained. "The quantum field connects human consciousness to the fundamental structure of reality. We're not becoming different. From human, we're becoming more human than we ever were before." Amy Chen's voice joined the conversation from the Marine Bay. "Admiral, my team has been training other humans in quantum combat techniques. The learning curve is incredible. People who've never held a weapon before can master reality-bending warfare in just days." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Captain, we need you to return to Zephyrian space. Our deep space sensors are detecting massive fleet movements. It looks like other alien species are mobilizing to stop human expansion." Jake felt the Liberty's quantum consciousness touch his mind, sharing tactical information instantly. Images of alien fleets appeared in his thoughts. Hundreds of ships from a dozen different species, all united by fear of what humanity had become. "They're calling it the Human Containment Coalition," Dr. Stone added, reading data from quantum sensors that could see across the galaxy. 7 major alien civilizations have joined together to prevent us from spreading our enhancement technology to other species. "How many ships are we talking about?" Jake asked. "Over 3,000, Stone replied. "They're massing at the edge of Zephyrian space, preparing for a coordinated attack on all human colonies and ships." Lisa's eyes glowed with quantum energy as she calculated possibilities. "Captain, even with our enhancements, those numbers are concerning. We could fight them, but the cost would be enormous. Jake closed his eyes and let his consciousness expand through the quantum field. He could sense every enhanced human in the galaxy. Millions of people, all connected through the same quantum network that linked his crew. They were scared but determined, ready to fight for their right to exist and grow. Admiral Jake said, opening his eyes. I'm requesting permission to demonstrate humanity's new capabilities to these alien coalitions, not through violence, but through something they'll understand better. What do you have in mind, Captain? Jake smiled. We're going to show them what happens when humans work together toward a common goal. Billy, open a communication channel to every enhanced human in the galaxy. Channel open, Captain. Jake's voice reached millions of human minds simultaneously. This is Captain Morrison. You've all seen the reports about the alien coalition gathering to stop us. I'm not asking you to fight them. I'm asking you to help me show them something better. Through the quantum network, Jake shared his plan. It was ambitious beyond anything humans had ever attempted. Instead of preparing for war, they would demonstrate the true power of quantum-enhanced humanity. Over the next week, every human ship, station, and colony began working together. They used their quantum abilities to reshape matter and energy. On a massive scale, dead asteroids became garden worlds in ours. Broken ships were rebuilt stronger than before. Most importantly, they began creating something that would make the aliens understand. At the edge of Zephyrian space, the alien coalition fleet waited for orders to attack human territories. Their commanders expected to face desperate resistance from scattered human ships. Instead, they found something that changed everything, where empty space had existed before. Humans had quantum constructed a massive structure. It wasn't a weapon or a fortress. It was a gift. A space station the size of a small moon designed specifically for multi-species cooperation. Gardens that could support any known form of life. Meeting halls where different species could interact safely. Research laboratories for sharing technology and knowledge. This is Captain Morrison of the Liberty to all coalition ships, Jake's voice broadcast across all frequencies. We know you came here to stop us. Instead, we want to invite you to join us. Humanity doesn't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to improve it. The alien fleet commanders stared in shock at their screens. The massive station had been built in just 7 days using technology that seemed like magic. More importantly, it had been built as a gesture of friendship, not a threat. The Zephyrian ships that had joined humanity added their voices to Jake's message. The humans didn't force us to change, one Zephyrian captain explained. They showed us what we could become if we chose to evolve. Our old empire was built on fear and control. This new way is better. One by one, alien ships began approaching the station. Not to attack, but to explore, to learn, to see if they too could become something greater than what they had been. Jake stood on the Liberty's bridge, watching through quantum sensors as the galaxy began to change. The age of conquest and fear was ending. New age of cooperation and growth was beginning. Captain Lisa said softly, I think we just prevented the biggest war in galactic history. No, Lisa, Jake replied, feeling the hopes and dreams of billions of beings flowing through the quantum network. I think we just started the biggest peace in galactic history. The Liberty turned toward the new station, ready to help humanity take its next step into a future where the only limits were imagination and the courage to dream. Bigger than anyone had ever dreamed before. In the end, they hadn't just upgraded their ship to God mode. They had upgraded themselves and through them, the entire galaxy.
The great council chamber fell silent as Commander Zaktha stepped forward. His green scales caught the light from the crystal dome above. The reptilian officer had fought in 3 wars and seen the rise of 12 civilizations. But today, fear showed in his yellow eyes. We have a problem, he said to the 47 species gathered in the room. The humans are moving again. A wave of nervous whispers spread through the chamber. The word human still made many aliens uncomfortable, even after 50 years of peace. At the far end of the room, Dr. Luna Vex floated in her energy field. Her translucent body glowed with worry. What kind of movement? Asked Admiral Crix. The insect-like creature clicked his mandibles together. As head of the Mantari fleet, He had patrolled the edges of known space for decades. He knew the danger zones better than anyone. Zaktha activated the holographic display. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared in the center of the room. Most of it glowed blue, showing the territories of the Galactic Confederation. But, at the edge, a large section pulsed red. Human space. Our sensors detected massive energy surges along their border 3 days ago, Zaktha explained. The readings were unlike anything we've seen before. Whatever they're building in there, it's big. The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. Species that had never agreed on anything suddenly found common ground in their fear of humanity. The Saurians hissed. The Mentari buzzed. The energy beings of Vex's people flickered with anxiety. Order, order, called the council speaker, a tall being covered in silver fur. Dr. Vex, you've been studying human transmissions for 20 years. What do you make of this? Dr. Vex drifted closer to the display. Her voice carried across the room like music, but her words were dark. I've been monitoring their communications, their entertainment, their news. What I've learned should terrify us all. She touched the hologram, and it zoomed in on the red zone. They call themselves humanity, but they're not the same species. That first left their homeworld. They've changed, evolved, in ways we can't understand. Explain, demanded Admiral Crix. In the past 50 years, they've had no contact with other species, no trade, no cultural exchange. Yet their technology has advanced faster than any civilization in galactic history. They speak of things they call impossible, as if they were simple problems to solve. Dr. Vex manipulated the display, showing waves of energy flowing through human space. But it's not just their machines that have changed. Their people have too. I've intercepted training videos, medical reports, psychological profiles. What they consider a normal human today would have been their greatest warrior 50 years ago. That's impossible, said the council speaker. Evolution doesn't work that fast. Natural evolution doesn't, Dr. Vex replied. But humans don't believe in natural limits. The room fell quiet again. Everyone knew the stories. How humans had appeared in the galaxy 200 years ago with primitive ships and simple weapons. How they had fought everyone they met, not out of evil, but because they didn't know how to surrender. How they had turned every defeat into a learning experience and every victory into a stepping stone. We offered them membership in the Confederation, said one of the older council members. They refused, said they needed time to figure things out. That was 50 years ago. And now? Asked Admiral Crix. Zaktha changed the display again. This time it showed a timeline of human activity over the past decades. For the first 20 years, we detected normal signs of civilization, cities growing, ships moving between their worlds, standard development patterns. The timeline shifted. Then something changed. About 30 years ago, the patterns became different, more organized, more purposeful, as if their entire civilization was working toward a single goal. What goal? Several voices asked at once. We don't know, Zaktha admitted. But whatever it is, they're close to finishing it. The energy signatures we detected 3 days ago suggest they're activating something. Something big enough to power an entire star system. Dr. Vex floated higher, her glow dimming with worry. There's something else. In their entertainment programs, they have stories about creatures called monsters. But in these stories, the monsters aren't evil. They're just different. And humans always find a way to understand them, to help them, or to stop them if they can't be helped. What does that mean? Asked the council speaker. I think it means they see themselves as the monsters now, and they're deciding what to do about it. Admiral Crix stood up, his 6 legs clicking on the floor. Then we need to know what we're dealing with. I volunteer my stealth fleet for reconnaissance. We can observe from a distance, gather intelligence, report back. Absolutely not, said several council members at once. The Treaty of Cosmic Peace specifically forbids entering human space, reminded the council speaker. The treaty also requires us to protect Confederation members from external threats, Admiral Crix countered. If humans have become dangerous, we need to know. Dr. Vex drifted between them. I support Admiral Crix's proposal, but we must be careful, very careful. Humans have a saying, curiosity killed the cat. I fear we may be the cat in this situation. The debate continued for hours. Some wanted to contact humans directly. Others wanted to reinforce the border. A few suggested they should try to make peace before it was too late. In the end, they voted. It was close, but Admiral Crix got his mission. Take your best ships, ordered the council speaker. Stay outside their sensor range, observe only. No contact, no interference, and if you see anything that suggests immediate danger, you retreat immediately. Admiral Crix bowed his head. Understood. We launch at first light. As the council session ended, Dr. Vex approached the Admiral. Be careful, old friend. I've spent decades studying humans. The more I learn about them, the more I realize we never really understood what they were capable of. What do you think we'll find out there? He asked. Dr. Vex's glow flickered like a dying star. I think we'll find out why no one dares cross into human space. And I think we'll discover that maybe, just maybe, that's been protecting us all along. That night, as Admiral Crix prepared his fleet, he couldn't shake Dr. Vex's words. 50. Years ago, humans had been the newcomers, the primitive species that everyone looked down on. Now they were the unknown factor that kept the galaxy's most advanced civilizations awake at night. Tomorrow, he would find out why. His ships launched, in the pre-dawn darkness, sleek vessels designed for stealth and observation. As they crossed into the outer reaches of space, heading toward the red zone on every star chart, Admiral Crix wondered if they were making the biggest mistake in galactic history. Behind them, the lights of Confederation space grew smaller. Ahead, the darkness of human territory waited, and somewhere in that darkness something massive was stirring to life. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started. The hot liquid spilled across his desk as he jumped up, but he ignored the mess. In the 3 years he had commanded the deep space station Cerberus, the proximity, alarms had never gone off. "Report!" he shouted as he ran onto the bridge. Lieutenant Amy Chen turned from her communications console, her face pale. "Sir, we have multiple contacts approaching from Confederation space. Computer identifies them as Mantari stealth vessels." Morrison felt his blood turn cold. The Mantari were the galaxy's best scouts. If they were here, it meant the Confederation was finally making a move. He had hoped this day would never come. "How many ships?" he asked. 12, sir. They're trying to stay hidden, but our new sensor array picked them up 2 light years out. Morrison nodded grimly. The sensor array was part of the improvements they had made to all human outposts over the past decade. The aliens had no idea how far human technology had advanced. Time to intercept? At current speed, they'll reach our outer perimeter in 6 hours. Morrison walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew waited for orders. These weren't just any humans. Each person on Cerberus had been selected for this mission. They knew what might happen if aliens ever came looking. "Activate Protocol 7, Morrison said quietly. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what Protocol 7 meant. It was the procedure they hoped they would never have to use. Dr. Paul Martinez looked up from his psychology station. "Sir, are you sure? Once we activate Protocol 7, there's no going back. The decision was made 50 years ago, Doc. We're just following orders." Lieutenant Chen's hands flew over her controls. "Protocol 7 activated, sir. All human stations are responding. The network is coming online." Morrison felt a familiar weight settle on his shoulders. For 3 years, he had been the guardian of humanity's greatest secret. Today, he would have to reveal part of it. "Chen, open a channel to the approaching vessels. Use their language." "Channel open, sir." Morrison took a deep breath. "Mantari, vessels, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Space Force. You are entering restricted territory. Turn back now." The response came quickly. A clicking, buzzing voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is Admiral Crix of the Confederation Fleet. We come in peace. We wish only to observe." Morrison almost smiled. The aliens thought they were being clever. They had no idea that humans had been monitoring Confederation communications for decades. They knew about the council meeting. They knew about Dr. Vex's research. They knew exactly why the aliens were here. "Admiral Crix," Morrison replied, "you are not welcome here. Turn back now, or face the consequences." Chief Petty Officer Lisa Kane stepped forward. Morrison had requested her transfer to Cerberus specifically for her background. Before joining the Space Force, she had been part of something the aliens would never understand. "Sir," she said quietly, "should I prep the demonstration?" Morrison nodded. "Do it." Kane moved to her station and began entering commands. Around the bridge, displays lit up showing the positions of every human outpost, ship, and installation within 100 light-years. The aliens were about to get their first real look at what human space had become. On the Mantari flagship, Admiral Crick studied the energy readings his sensors were detecting. When the human had activated something called Protocol 7, massive power sources had begun coming online throughout human territory. "Science officer," he called. "What are those? Energy signatures?" The response worried him. "Admiral, I'm reading power levels that should be impossible. These aren't just defensive installations, there's something else entirely." "Weapons?" Crix asked. I don't know, sir. The energy patterns don't match anything in our database. On Cerberus, Dr. Martinez was running psychological profiles on the alien fleet. His job was to understand how different species thought, how they reacted to stress, and how they made decisions under pressure. "Captain," he said, "based on Mantari psychology, they're probably confused right now. Their stealth technology isn't working, and they're detecting energy sources they can't identify. They'll try to gather more information before deciding whether to advance or retreat." Morrison nodded. "How long do we give them?" "Mantari are cautious by nature. They'll want to report back to their superiors before taking any major action. I'd say we have maybe an hour before they make their move." Lieutenant Chen looked up from her station. "Sir, I'm detecting communication bursts from their flagship. They're sending reports back to Confederation space." "Let them," Morrison said. "In fact, make sure they get a clear signal." The bridge crew looked surprised, but they followed orders. If the aliens wanted to tell their leaders what they were seeing, that was fine. It was all part of the plan. On the Mantari ship, Admiral Crix was becoming more nervous by the minute. His science officer had just reported something that should have been impossible. "Admiral, the human installations aren't just defensive. They're integrated. The entire human territory appears to be connected by some kind of network. When one station activates, they all respond." "What does that mean?" Crix asked. "It means human space isn't just defended by individual outposts. The entire region has been turned into a single, massive system." Crix felt his confidence wavering. The Confederation had sent him to observe a primitive species that had isolated itself from galactic civilization. Instead, he was looking at technology that made his advanced stealth ship seem like children's toys. "Admiral," his communications officer called, "we're receiving another transmission from the human station." Morrison's voice filled the Mantari bridge again. "Admiral Crix, you have 5 minutes to begin your withdrawal. After that, we will consider your presence an act of aggression." Crix wanted to respond, but his science officer interrupted with more disturbing news. "Sir, I'm reading massive power buildups throughout human space. Whatever they're doing, it's big. Really big." "How big?" "Admiral, if these readings are correct, they have enough power online to affect the fabric of space itself. The implications hit Crix like a physical blow. The humans weren't just defending their territory. They had turned their entire region of space into something unprecedented. "Admiral," came Morrison's final transmission, "your time is up. You wanted to see what we've become. Congratulations, you're about to get your wish." The human station suddenly went dark. All energy signatures vanished from Crix's sensors. The space around them became eerily quiet. Then slowly, something began to happen. The stars themselves seemed to shift. Space twisted in ways that violated every law of physics Crix knew. And in the center of it all, human space began to glow with an impossible light. Admiral Crix realized with growing horror that they weren't just observing humans anymore. They were trapped in whatever the humans had built. And based on the energy readings now flooding his sensors, the humans had just activated something that could reshape reality itself. The last thing he heard before his communications went dead was Captain Morrison's voice, calm and terrifying in its certainty. "You wanted to know why no one dares cross into human space, Admiral? Now you're going to find out firsthand. Welcome to humanity's greatest achievement. We call it evolution." Admiral Crix watched in horror as space itself began to change around his fleet. The stars that had been in fixed positions for millions of years started to move, not in straight lines like ships or planets, but in impossible spirals that made his eyes hurt to follow. "Science officer!" he shouted over the alarm sounds filling his bridge. "What's happening?" The response came back filled with panic. "Admiral, our instruments can't make sense of the readings. It's like the humans have taken control of physics itself." Before Crix could respond, a new voice came through their communication system. It was calm, professional, and completely terrifying in its confidence. "Admiral Crix, this is Colonel Ben Harris, Sol Defense Grid. Please remain calm. You are not in immediate danger, but you are now inside our space. We control everything here." Crix found his voice. "What have you done? This is impossible." "Impossible is a word we stopped using 50 years ago," Harris replied. "You wanted to observe human space, now you're part of it. Welcome to the Darwin Project." On the human command ship Harbinger, Colonel Harris stood before a wall of screens showing the trapped alien fleet. Around him, his crew worked with the quiet efficiency that had become the hallmark of evolved humanity. "Dr. Williams," he called to the scientist at the central station, "are our guests ready for the full demonstration?" Dr. Kate Williams looked up from her controls. She had spent 30 years working on the Darwin Project, watching humanity transform itself into something unprecedented in galactic history. Today, she would finally show the universe what they had accomplished. "All systems are green, Colonel. The aliens are completely contained within our field. They can observe but not interfere." Harris nodded. "Then let's show them what we've become. Activate Phase 1. Throughout human space, installations that had been dormant for decades began to wake up. These weren't weapons or shields in any traditional sense. They were something far more fundamental. Tools that could reshape the basic laws of reality within a defined area. On his trapped ship, Admiral Crix watched as human vessels began to appear around his fleet. But these ships were like nothing in any database. They seemed to change shape as he watched, adapting to conditions in real time. "Admiral," his communications officer called, "I'm receiving data streams from the human ships. They're sharing information with us." "What kind of information?" "Everything, sir. Their history, their technology, their philosophy. It's like they want us to understand what we're seeing." Crix authorized the data transfer, though every instinct told him it was a trap. As the information flowed into his ship's computers, he began to understand the true scope of what humanity had accomplished. Dr. Williams's voice came through the communications system, speaking directly to the alien fleet. "Admiral Crix, what you're seeing is the result of 50 years of focused evolution. When we first met your species, we realized something important. We were not ready to be part of galactic civilization." "Why not?" Crix asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. "Because we were still limited by what we thought was possible. Your species, all the species in the Confederation, had reached a comfortable level of advancement and stopped growing. You had achieved peace by accepting limitations." On the Harbinger, Commander Alex Turner stepped forward. He was the pilot of humanity's most advanced ship, but more than that, he was an example of what humans had become. His reflexes were faster than any natural creature. His mind could process information at speeds that would overwhelm most computers. Yet he still retained the curiosity and determination that made humans unique. "Show them the cities," Turner suggested. Dr. Williams smiled and activated another set of displays. Throughout human space, the alien fleet could now see human settlements. But these weren't cities in any traditional sense. They were living, growing structures that adapted to their inhabitants' needs in real time. "This is impossible," Crix whispered. "You keep using that word. said General Rick Stone as his image appeared on Crix's screen. Stone was the supreme commander of human space forces, and looking at him, Crix could see something that chilled him to his core. This wasn't just a human anymore. This was something that had evolved beyond normal limitations while somehow remaining fundamentally human. General Stone, Crix said, trying to keep his voice steady. What do you want from us? Nothing, Stone replied simply. We don't want your territory. We don't want your resources. We don't want to rule your people. We just want to be left alone to continue growing. Then why show us this? Why reveal your capabilities? Dr. Williams answered. Because isolation only works if others respect it. For 50 years, your Confederation has wondered why we withdrew from galactic society. You've created myths and legends about us. You've feared us without understanding us. She gestured to the displays showing human achievements. Today, you learn the truth. We didn't withdraw out of fear or hatred. We withdrew because we knew what we could become, and we weren't sure the galaxy was ready for it. Commander Turner stepped closer to his communication console. Every human child today can do things that would have been considered superhuman 50 years ago. Every human worker has capabilities that exceed your military elites. Every human scientist can process information at speeds that would burn out your most advanced computers. But you're still human, Crix asked. More human than ever, General Stone replied. We haven't lost our core nature. We've just removed the artificial limits that biology and technology once imposed on us. The data streams continued to flow, showing the aliens exactly how humanity had transformed itself. They had not just advanced their technology, they had evolved their biology, enhanced their psychology, and restructured their entire civilization around the principle of continuous improvement. The Darwin Project wasn't just about making better humans, Dr. Williams explained. It was about creating a species that could adapt to any challenge, survive any threat, and solve any problem. We became what we needed to become. Admiral Crix felt a deep fear settling in his chest. And what did you need to become? General Stone's image flickered as he smiled, and for a moment, Crix saw something in that smile that made him understand why no species had dared challenge humanity. We became the species that stands between the galaxy and everything that wants to destroy it. We became the immune system of civilization itself. What does that mean? Crix asked. It means, Admiral, that while your people have been focused on maintaining peace and stability, we've been preparing for war. Not war against you, but war against the things that are coming. The threats that exist beyond the edge of known space. The dangers that your comfortable civilizations aren't equipped to handle, Dr. Williams added. We've been monitoring signals from the galactic rim for decades. There are things out there that would end your Confederation in a matter of months. Ancient machines that consume entire star systems. Hostile intelligences that view all biological life as a disease to be cured. Why haven't you warned us? Crix demanded. Because you wouldn't have believed us, Stone replied. And because you couldn't have done anything about it anyway, but we can. Commander Turner moved to the front of his bridge. In approximately 10 years, the first wave will reach Confederation space. When it does, you'll understand why we needed to become what we are. You'll understand why we've spent 50 years turning ourselves into something capable of fighting the impossible. The displays around Admiral Crix's ship suddenly changed, showing vast, dark shapes moving through space beyond the galactic rim, things that blotted out stars and consumed everything in their path. This is what's coming, General Stone said quietly. This is why no one dares cross into human space, not because we're hostile, but because we're the only thing standing between the galaxy and total extinction. The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Crix and his fleet alone with the horrifying truth. Humanity hadn't withdrawn from galactic civilization out of fear or aggression. They had withdrawn to become the galaxy's last line of defense against threats that no one else even knew existed. Admiral Crix stared at the dark shapes on his screen for a long time before finding his voice. How long have you known about these things? 37 years, came the reply from Dr. Sam Roberts, who appeared on the communication screen. Unlike the military officers, Roberts looked like what the aliens expected a human to look like. Older, calmer, wearing simple clothes. But when he spoke, his words carried the weight of someone who had spent decades thinking about impossible problems. "We detected the first signals when we were upgrading our deep space sensors," Roberts continued. "At first, we thought they were natural phenomena. Pulsars maybe, or some kind of stellar collapse. Then we realized the patterns were too organized, too purposeful." Captain Nina Foster stepped into view beside Roberts. She commanded the human ship Nemesis, one of the vessels that had appeared around the alien fleet. Like all the humans they had seen, she moved with a confidence that seemed unnatural to alien eyes. "Dr. Roberts," she said, "should we show them the recordings?" Roberts nodded. "They need to understand what we're dealing with." The screens around Admiral Crick's ship filled with images from deep space. At first they showed normal star fields, then slowly the stars began to disappear. Not exploding or collapsing, just gone, as if something was consuming them one by one. "This is the Helix arm, about 15,000 light-years from here," Roberts explained. "Over the past 30 years, we've watched 17 star systems just vanish, complete consumption, no debris, no energy signature, nothing." Crix felt his scales crawl. "What could do that?" "We call them devourers," Foster replied. "We don't know what they are exactly. Machines, maybe? Or something that was once alive and became something else? What we do know is that they're headed this way." A new figure appeared on the screen. Sergeant Mike Davis looked like he should have been a normal human soldier, but as Crix watched, Davis did something that made the alien admiral's eyes widen in shock. He lifted a piece of metal that should have weighed several tons, twisted it into a new shape with his bare hands, then set it down gently. "Don't be alarmed," Roberts said, noticing Crix's reaction. "Sergeant Davis is demonstrating enhanced human capabilities. Physical strength is just one aspect of what we've become." "That's impossible," Crix whispered. Davis smiled, and it was a surprisingly warm expression. "Admiral, with respect, we stopped believing in impossible a long time ago. When you're facing the end of everything you care about, you find ways to become whatever you need to be." Dr. Carol Jensen stepped forward, her hands glowing with some kind of energy field. "Admiral Crix, may I explain what you're seeing? I'm a bioengineer. I helped design the modifications that make our current capabilities possible." Crix nodded, though he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer. 50 years ago, humans were limited by biology," Jensen began. "We could only process so much information, move so fast, lift so much weight. We had maximum lifespans, maximum learning capacity, maximum everything." She gestured to the humans around her. "We removed those maximums, not by replacing our humanity, but by enhancing it. Every human today has the processing power of your most advanced computers, the physical capabilities of your strongest warriors, and the lifespan to actually use these gifts." "But you're still human?" Crix asked. Dr. Roberts stepped forward, again. "That's the important part, Admiral. We didn't lose our humanity in becoming more than human. We became more human than ever." To demonstrate, Roberts pulled up recordings of human society. Crix expected to see military installations and weapons factories. Instead, he saw children playing games that required impossible coordination, artists creating works that seemed to bend reality, families gathering for meals that lasted for hours of complex conversation. "We still love," Roberts said simply. "We still dream. We still make mistakes and learn from them. We still care about each other and about life itself. We just do all of it on a scale that would have been unimaginable to our ancestors, Captain." Foster activated another display. "Admiral, would you like to see what human space really looks like? Not the defensive installations, but the places where we actually live." The screen showed a human city, but it was unlike anything in Crix's experience. Buildings that changed shape based on the needs of their inhabitants, parks where the plants and animals had been enhanced to create living art, transportation systems that moved people through three-dimensional space as easily as walking. "This is beautiful," Crix admitted. "It's also completely functional," Foster replied. "Every citizen in that city could, if necessary, become a soldier capable of fighting threats that would destroy your most advanced military units. Every child, has the education equivalent of your greatest scholars. Every worker has the creativity of your finest artists. Sergeant Davis added, "But more than that, Admiral, every human has something your people seem to have lost. We still believe we can get better. We still think tomorrow can be better than today." Dr. Jensen nodded. "That's what we call the human condition. It's not just our biology or our technology. It's our refusal to accept that anything is impossible. It's our belief that there's always a way forward, always a solution, always hope." "Even facing these devourers?" Crix asked. "Especially facing the devourers," Roberts replied. "Your confederation has achieved peace by avoiding conflict. You've created stability by accepting limitations. When you encounter a problem you can't solve, you work around it or ignore it. And humans?" Crix already knew the answer, but he had to ask. "We solve it," Foster said simply. "No matter how long it takes, no matter what we have to become, no matter what we have to sacrifice, we find a way." The display changed again, showing human research facilities working on projects that seemed to bend the laws of physics. Scientists who could think at impossible speeds. Engineers who could build machines that operated on principles Crix didn't understand. "For 37 years we've been preparing," Dr. Jensen explained. "Not just building weapons or ships, but becoming the kind of species that can face the impossible and win." "What if you're wrong?" Crix asked. "What if these devourers are too powerful even for you?" The humans on the screen exchanged glances, and for a moment, Crix saw something in their expressions that chilled him. Not fear, but absolute determination. "Then we'll become something even more than we are now," Sergeant Davis said quietly. "We'll evolve again. We'll adapt. We'll find a way." Dr. Roberts stepped closer to the camera. "Admiral, that's what your people don't understand about us. You see our power and think we're dangerous. You're right, we are dangerous, but we're dangerous to the things that threaten life, not to life itself." "How can we be sure?" Crix asked. Captain Foster smiled, and it was the same warm expression they had seen from Davis. "Because in 50 years of incredible power, we've never once used it against another species. We've never expanded beyond our agreed borders. We've never demanded tribute or submission from anyone. Instead," Roberts added, "we've spent 5 decades preparing to die for people who don't even know we're protecting them. That's the human condition, Admiral. We don't seek to conquer, we seek to preserve. We don't want to rule the galaxy, we want to save it." The transmission paused, and Crix realized the humans were giving him time to process what he'd learned. Around him, his crew sat in stunned silence, trying to understand what they had witnessed. Finally, Dr. Roberts spoke again. "Admiral, you came here to learn why no one dares cross into human space. Now you know. It's not because we're hostile. It's because we're the last line of defense against things that would end everything you've ever known. And we're about to find out if 50 years of preparation will be enough." The alarm started 3 days later. Admiral Crix was still in human space, still trying to understand everything he had learned, when his communications officer called out in panic, "Admiral!" Multiple fleets approaching human territory from all directions. Crix rushed to his sensor station. The display showed dozens of ships from different Confederation species, Saurian attack fleets, ethereal research vessels, even the massive warships of the usually peaceful crystals. They were all heading toward human space. "Admiral," came Captain Morrison's voice from the human station Cerberus. "We know about the other fleets. We've been tracking them since they left their homeworlds." "How is that possible?" Crix asked. "Some of those ships only launched yesterday." "We have our ways," Morrison replied calmly. "The real question is, are you going to help us handle this situation, or are you going to be part of the problem?" Before Crix could answer, a new voice filled his bridge. It was warm, but carried absolute authority. "Admiral Crix, this is President Dan Clark of the Human Coalition. We need to talk." The image that appeared on Crix's screen showed a man who looked completely ordinary. President Clark could have been any middle-aged human from the old days. but his eyes held depths that spoke of experience beyond normal understanding. "Mr. President," Crick said carefully, "my government didn't authorize these other fleets." "We know," Clark replied. "Each species made their own decision to investigate human space. The Saurians want to test our defenses. The Ethereals want to study our technology. The crystals are afraid we're planning to attack someone." Clark paused, looking directly at Crix through the screen. "They're all making the same mistake you made, Admiral. They think this is about them." "What do you mean?" "Admiral Sarah Brooks? Show him." A new figure appeared beside President Clark. Admiral Brooks wore a simple uniform, but something about her presence made Crix instinctively straighten up. This was someone who had commanded forces beyond imagination. "Admiral Crix," Brooks said, "while your various fleets have been approaching our territory, we've been detecting something else. Look at these readings." The display filled with sensor data that made Crix's blood run cold. The dark shapes they had seen before were moving faster now. Much faster. What the humans had said would take 10 years was going to happen in 10 months. "The Devourers have accelerated," Brooks explained. "Something has made them change course toward inhabited space. Our best analysis suggests they detected the energy signatures from all these fleets moving around." President Clark stepped forward. "Admiral, the invasion you and your allies are planning isn't going to happen, because in about 6 hours we're all going to be too busy fighting for our lives." "6 hours?" Crix whispered. "The lead elements of the Devourer fleet just entered our sensor range," said Dr. Tony Mitchell as he joined the conversation. "We're activating the integration protocol." "What's that?" Crix asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. "It's how we bring the rest of the galaxy up to speed," President Clark replied. "Admiral, you and every ship in your various fleets are about to receive a complete download of human technology, tactics, and capabilities. We're going to turn your people into something that can help us fight." Commander Lisa Park stepped into view. Unlike the others, she looked exactly like what Crix expected a diplomat to look like. Professional, calm, reassuring. But her next words were anything but reassuring. "The integration protocol will enhance your ships, your weapons, and your people to approximately 10% of human capability," Park explained. "It's not permanent and it's not comfortable, but it's the only way you'll survive what's coming." "You're going to change us?" Crix asked in horror. "Temporarily," President Clark said, "with your permission. We won't force this on anyone, but Admiral, look at your screens. Look at what's heading toward your homeworlds. Then decide if you want to face it with your current capabilities." Crix looked at the sensor readings again. The Devourer fleet was massive. Ships the size of moons moving in formations that stretched across light years. Behind them came something even worse, a darkness that seemed to consume space itself. "How many?" he asked quietly. 17,000 capital ships in the first wave," Admiral Brooks replied. "We estimate about 4 million smaller vessels, and something we're calling a void bringer. It's approximately the size of a small planet and appears to be some kind of command structure. How many ships do you have?" 312, Brooks said simply. Crix stared at her. "That's impossible. You can't fight 17,000 ships with 300. "Admiral," President Clark said gently, "you're still thinking in terms of normal ships and normal tactics. We stopped being normal 50 years ago. Dr. Mitchell activated new displays. The integration protocol isn't just about upgrading your technology. It's about showing you how to think differently, how to see solutions where you once saw only problems." "What do you need us to do?" Crix asked. Commander Park smiled. "Help us save the galaxy, Admiral. Help us show the universe that life is worth fighting for." The transformation began immediately. Admiral Crix felt his mind expand as human knowledge flowed into his consciousness. His ship's systems upgraded themselves in real time. Around him, his crew changed as their capabilities grew beyond anything they had thought possible. But more than that, Crix began to understand. He saw how humans thought, how they approached problems, how they refused to accept defeat. For the first time in his life, he felt what it was like to believe that any challenge could be overcome. "Admiral," came Brooks' voice, "your fleet is now integrated with our defensive network. You're about to see what human space really is. The stars around them began to move again, but this time Crix understood what was happening. Human space wasn't just territory defended by ships. It was a weapon system the size of a solar system, designed to fight threats that normal civilizations couldn't even imagine. "All Confederation fleets, this is President Clark," came the broadcast to every approaching ship. "You came here to investigate human space. Instead, you're going to help us defend it. In 30 minutes, the greatest threat in galactic history will arrive. When it does, you'll understand why we needed 50 years to prepare, and why we spent that time becoming something worthy of the trust you're about to place in us." Admiral Crix felt the integration protocol complete its work. He was still himself, still Mentari, but now he could think at speeds that would have burned out his brain hours before. He could see tactical solutions that had been invisible moments ago. He could understand weapons that operated on principles his species had never discovered. "Admiral Brooks," he said, surprised by the confidence in his own voice. "What are your orders?" "Simple, Admiral," Brooks replied. "We're going to show these devourers something they've never encountered before. We're going to show them what happens when life refuses to give up." President Clark's final transmission went out to every ship in the growing fleet. "To all vessels, human and alien alike. Today we find out if 50 years of preparation was enough. Today we discover whether one species' refusal to accept the impossible can save an entire galaxy. Today no one fights alone." As the Devourer fleet emerged from the darkness between stars, Admiral Crix realized that everything had changed. The aliens had come to human space to investigate a mystery. Instead, they had become part of the solution to the greatest crisis in galactic history. And for the first time since he had entered human space, Admiral Crix wasn't afraid, because now he understood what the humans had been trying to tell him all along. Sometimes the only way to protect what you love is to become something greater than what you were. And sometimes that transformation changes not just you, but everyone around you. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and this time life was going to fight back.